I came back to Atlanta. I didn't have a plan, but it's amazing when you know you're in your purpose and you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, things just fall into place. And let me tell you, this may sound silly, but I remember I didn't have a plan, and I'm used to having a plan to do everything that I want to do. But I started saying this affirmation, abundance is all around me, just like the leaves on the tree.
Yeah.
Abundance is all around me, like the leaves on the trees. And so that was my mantra. Okay. And believe it or not, everything just kind of fell into place.
Let's learn how our next guest gets up, dress up, and show up on purpose. Enjoy the episode. Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lunid, and today it's a privilege, it's an honor to introduce a very special woman to the show, Renzi Richardson. She is the CEO and founder of the BHFL Group and the new 12-step signature coaching program. She has helped over 500 clients bridge the void from startup to CEO. So I am excited and really looking forward to hearing from her because we want to hear about her coaching. We have a lot of startups here and we want to talk about how do we go from where we are to where we want to go. And so it's an honor to have her on the show. So with no further ado, Renzi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Lenny, it's so nice to be here. And I heard so many wonderful things about you too. So thank you for the opportunity.
It is my pleasure. I love a hero's story and I'm always
Oh,
curious to see how you get started, what led you to this path and journey that you were on. So if you don't mind, please enlighten us a little bit about your journey here thus far.
sure. I think my story is probably similar to a lot of us. We may start, in corporate. And, that's where my journey began. My journey began in corporate. I was an HR professional for about 22 years.
Mhm.
And it had come to a point in my career where I was no longer welcome. I'll put it that way. Um, and just going through that experience and somewhat traumatic, I had a realization that, it was time for me to think about doing something else and think about not, if you're not welcome in a place where you've been, it's hard to force a fit.
Mhm.
And actually, I ended up in the emergency room because I had a really bad anxiety attack. And I was so fortunate that the gentleman that I met, the doctor that I met, he was on a routine of going to different major hospitals throughout America, and he was from Africa. And so the doctor that was supposed to treat me on this particular day, for whatever reason, she wasn't there. So he had to take over for her. And so just meeting this doctor from Africa, he went through all of the ops and pre-op stuff that they have to do. You're set to assess your signs. And he said, well, you're in pretty good health. He said, I don't understand. He said, why are you here? So I kind of gave him a background of my story and, some of the things that I was dealing with in the workplace. And this is the most profound thing he told me. He said, you don't need medicine. He said, you just need the courage to fly. He said, that's
Wow.
all. Yeah. And I listened to what he said. And I think for me, it was almost like he gave me permission to do something that I knew that I needed to do. But sometimes we need that nudge. And so that was the nudge that I need for me to step into my purpose, to do what I really love doing. And I can't tell you that all of a sudden everything just clicked and fell into place. I think sometimes the journey of entrepreneurship is through evolution.
Yeah.
Okay. We may have an idea in terms of what it is that we want to do, but I think sometimes the experiences that we have through along the journey kind of shape who, that experience and how we get to that point of saying, here I am. I've fallen into my purpose. And when you do, you know that you're on point because everything just comes easily. Okay. And so one of the things I love, always love helping people and helping to say, what is it that I have that I can help others? And also even through mistakes. Okay. And so through my journey, it just led me to where my business is about helping women and minority-owned companies and helping them to understand how to grow and scale their business and understanding it. And at the end of the day, what's important to me is that small businesses are contributing to that ecosystem in our communities. And one of the biggest ways that we can contribute to that system is through job creation. And so that's what I do. And that's the foundation of the 12-step signature coaching program.
That's phenomenal. Your story gave me chills, right? When the doctor said you don't need medicine, you just need permission the courage to fly.
Yeah.
That resonated. It's like exactly what you needed to hear.
Really. And I think back to that moment and I said, had I not met him and as healthy as I was, because I was running, hiking and all of this stuff, but there could have been a different doctor who would have prescribed all of this medicine and all of this other kind of stuff, which would have sedated me in a lot of different ways. You see what I'm saying? But he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. He said those few words to me. And honestly, that he did the checkup on a Saturday. Sunday, I packed my car. I packed my the few things that I needed, and I came back to Atlanta because this was in Birmingham, Alabama. And that Sunday afternoon, I packed my things and I came back to Atlanta, where I felt that there was more of a place for me in Atlanta than, being in Birmingham, Alabama. So it was phenomenal. And I thank him in my prayers often because it could have been a different outcome had I not met him.
So you left your job?
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have a plan. I came here. I came back to Atlanta. I didn't have a plan, but it's amazing when you know you're in your purpose and you know you're doing what you're supposed to do. Things just fall into place. And let me tell you, this may sound silly, but I remember I didn't have a plan, and I'm used to having a plan to do everything that I want to do. But I started saying this affirmation, abundance is all around me, just like the leaves on the tree. Yeah. Abundance is all around me like the leaves on the trees. And so that was my mantra, okay? And believe it or not, everything just kind of fell into place as it should be. I never want for money. I never want for a place to stay. I never wanted for clients. It just kind of fell into place. Yeah. And sometimes it seemed so easy. I would laugh because I would just say, okay, I finished this project. Where's the next client coming from? And sure enough, the client would just show up. So I do believe in positive affirmations, and I do believe that when we walk in our purpose, I'm telling you, that stuff, it works. It really works.
It's powerful. Wayne Dyer says, if you stay on purpose, you'll never stumble.
Exactly. And even to this day, I've been in business now for almost 10 years. October the 10th will be 10 years that I've been in business. And I'm telling you, yes, there's been a couple of challenges because market changes and that kind of stuff. But overall, it has been a wonderful journey and just helping so many women and minority-owned businesses and kind of see, the fruit of your labor in terms of helping them and helping them to walk in their purpose and to understand it's not about just having a business. It has to be a higher purpose than just making money. And I'm just kind of seeing all of it kind of unfold. I feel I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, finding your purpose, you come alive. You're ignited. There's a soul, a different part of you comes to life. You don't get boggled down by the same things that used to bother you anymore.
Exactly. And the clarity is there. And if you understand that, and I call it the fog, if you're able to block out the fog and you see the clarity in terms of your purpose and your why, it really does help for things to come to start falling into place, and don't get distracted along the way. That's the
Yeah.
other thing I would say.
How do we not get distracted along the way?
And this is where, and this is something I find with entrepreneurs is that sometimes, first of all, a lot of entrepreneurs are very innovative and they're very creative. And so you've got all of these things going on in your head. Oh, I love this, and this. But at some point you have to narrow that focus down.
Yeah.
And it's just like building a fire. I look at these shows and stuff like that where, you have to build a fire. And so you start with a small, like the debris and all of the stuff where you start that spark. And then from that spark, there's smoke. And from smoke, there's fire. And you blow into that fire to create a bigger fire. Well, that's the more focused approach that you take to build that momentum and get that attraction. And then you expand. But if you're trying to build 7 fires at one time, how do you do that in order for you to get that spark that you need to create that flame and and to tie back into your purpose?
You'll end up winded. Yeah. And with no fires, with nothing to show for it.
A lot of activity, a lot of energy output, but nothing to show for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think a lot of the time it takes not mental clarity, but that intro perspective, looking in, that ability to stay focused and quiet the mind, because we have 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And 90% of the same thoughts from yesterday, and they're negative. So we have to find a way to combat that so that we don't derail. Go ahead.
And you made a wonderful point. And my routine is that at night before I close down, I believe in prayers and affirmations. And the silence, stand still in the silence. Okay. That's how I close my day down. And in the morning, I start in that same place where I start in the silence. I say my affirmations. I do my meditation, and just in that space before I start my day, I just want to take a moment to say what my intentions are for the day. What is it that I want to do? What my intentions are. And that helps me to stay focused on what I want to accomplish and how that just keeps building on to the overall purpose and what my why is.
Yeah, yes. It does really keeps you on track, having that moment. Tell us a bit about the work that you do with the women that you work with. You can start off with the 12-step signature coaching program. How does it work?
Yeah, this 12-step signature, I've been a coach probably for as long as I've been in business. Honestly, I started coaching when I was in corporate. And over the years, I've kind of transitioned working with women and minority-owned businesses, and the 12-step signature coaching program came out of a lot of the changes that happened over the last 3 years, and just understanding what it meant to be resilient, what it meant for some of us when we had to pivot, and looking at companies to identify, those struggles, where were they struggling. And so I created the 12-step signature coaching program to help these companies to say, we're in an economy that is very fluid. And so how do we understand where we are and understand it's not always about working harder, running faster, but how do we multiply our revenue and also duplicate our effort without having to put additional hours into the day. And I came up with this concept because a lot of us had to learn how to pivot. And learning how to pivot didn't mean that, okay, I got to do more, I got to do longer hours. But I wanted to teach women as well and coach them around, let's take a look at what you have. And if we can take this and repurpose this in a way to say, how do you take this and duplicate this? how do we do this without you feeling like you have to accomplish this goal and you're trying to achieve that six-figure or get to that million dollar level, saying that all of the effort and everything has to come through you. There's only about so much that we can do.
It's true.
And oftentimes as an entrepreneur, we do all of the things that we need to do to start, to build our shop, open the doors, hang out the shingle, and we're doing all of this stuff. And then we go into this desert to say, okay, I've done that. So now what? We have not been taught how to multiply our revenue, duplicate our effort. And that's how you grow your business, not through your effort alone. Because if we try to do it all ourselves, we get burned out. We really get burned out. And so that's how this program came about. And we customize a roadmap specifically to your business depending on the 4 stages that we have identified. And from those 4 stages, we customize a roadmap to say, this is where you are, and we help you to get to that next level. And through this map, it gives you all the right support that you need, the coaching services that you need, and also it just lays out exactly what you need to say where you are now, which is what we call baseline, and then to get you to that next level in order for you to start duplicating your effort and growing your revenue.
So have you applied that? There's a couple of Ramseys running around.
Actually, before I started this, the 12 step, that was one of the things that I wanted to figure out. And from this program, I've had other business coaches to contact me to say, hey, I've had a chance to take a look at your program. I like the products that you have. I like the tools that you use. Would you be willing to license it? And so we are working right now with a couple of chambers because there's so many programs out here that will tell you how to start a business, but there are very few programs, and I call it, in the desert, that teach you how to grow and to scale your business. We're in that space that teaches you how to grow and scale your business. So right now we're working with a couple of chambers of commerce as well as some other organizations who are interested in the products and our whole program to say how possibly we can white label that program or resell it or franchise it. So that's where I'm at right now. And my goal is to take this, collect the data, and just specifically, I was thinking about my clients to say, I wanted to leverage this with my clients in terms of helping them to grow their business. But yeah, we've got 3 projects now where chambers of commerce and other business coaches who are looking for a package or a kit to provide their clients with more tangible resources and results that they can measure.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. Yes.
You get to help more people than you already are. This is great.
Yeah, and that's the goal. That's, I sometimes I said tongue in cheek, but I said, if you know anything about the Bible, I said Jesus had 12 disciples, and that's how he spread the message. But if it was left up to him, of course, he probably could do it. But I think it was smart enough to say that I can get more accomplished by duplicating my effort and having other people to help me spread the word as opposed to me trying to do it all myself. So I think that's one of the wisest things that business owners can take from that passage.
And it still works today.
It works. Yes.
To double and multiply our efforts, I'm thinking we can delegate. We can buy back our time, right? Pay someone to do some of the things that are not our talents or not things we're good at, kind of just to help us focus on our, what do we call the genius zone. Those are the 2 things I'm thinking about. What other ways can we multiply our effort?
And you have to feel okay with this. And this is something I know, and I've coached, entrepreneurs and business owners. Sometimes when you think about duplicating your effort and multiplying your revenue, there's a certain level of talent that you need to bring in to the organization to do that. And sometimes we let our ego talk to us about, well, are you sure you want to hire someone like that? That person knows more than you know. Well, the goal of it is you want to hire someone like that. And this is something I tell my client. When you're talking about hiring someone, hire someone that can take you where you have not gone.
Right.
If you cannot hire someone who can take you where they've never been. Okay. So as an example, you might have someone who might be a bookkeeper and that person is great at bookkeeping, but would you put them in a strategic role as a CFO if they've never been a CFO before? So you want to hire people to take you where you want to go and they have that experience to take you there. You can't let that, I guess you say, create these barriers because you're thinking that person know more than you. Yes, you want people around you that know more than you know because it's not about all that you know. It's about you being the catalyst for your organization, the influencer to bring about the results that you want.
And the vision, to keep the vision alive,
Absolutely.
because that's going to be what directs the decision. The needle mover is going to come from you.
Exactly.
It's almost like a
Exactly. Yeah.
funnel. I know
Mhm.
Steve Jobs has a really good quote that I tell my clients, I tell everyone all the time that, he says, I hire smart people so I don't tell them what to do, but they can tell me what to do.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, I met one of those gentlemen and I believe, and he's from California. I believe if I recall, I think he was just out of college, but he was such a geek when it came to technology. And Steve Jobs hired him because he was very, very smart. He was very intelligent, but it gave him an opportunity to mold him. Okay. And by molding him, it allowed him to tap into his genius and think about new technologies. And so I think from my understanding, he stayed with Steve Jobs for about 5 years. And then after that, he started his own company. I want to say it's called Chili Pepper Software, and I think they're either out of Las Vegas or Nevada. This guy is just doing so many innovative things in the tech world, just unbelievable. But Steve Jobs was his mentor.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
fascinating. Mentorship. How
Yes,
huge, how important is that? It's almost like coaching, right? Coaching is a form of mentorship. It's a form of bringing you on, Renzi, to say, you know what, you have 22 years in the field plus 10 years of coaching. I would bring you on as a mentor because I want to learn. I don't want to spend 30 years to learn what you learn, but I can learn it in a month or two with you, sitting with you.
exactly. Exactly. And the distinction between mentorship versus coaching, a lot of time with mentorship, you leveraging your expertise and you telling that person, you filling in the gaps and you telling that person, these are the steps to get to where you want to go. But when you think about coaching is more about helping that leader or helping that business owner to find the answers from within. Okay, so there's a distinction between the two. Mentorship is more about telling them these are the success strategies for you to follow, whereas with coaching, you're helping them to identify and to connect with the answers from within. It's not about so much telling them what to do, but helping them to find the answers from within.
Is there a hybrid? Because sometimes I'm like, just tell me what to do. I trust you enough.
Yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. Sometimes when I'm working with a client, my goal is to facilitate them connecting with those answers. But at a point when you see that it's not working, I said, okay, we've been here and this is where we may be stuck. So now I'm going to tell you that this is the path that I want you to take. Yes. So there is a hybrid.
Okay, good to know. Let's talk about your morning routine. How do you get up, dress up, and show up for your clients and to experience such massive growth? And I love your affirmation, abundance is around me, just like the leaves on the tree.
Yeah, and that's part of my mantra. But every morning, before I start my day, before all of the busy activity come in, I try to start my day with meditation. I also start my day with this audio book, and for every day that there's a verse, there's a Bible verse to kind of create the day or shape the day. And I do that, and then I get up, I do my exercise routine. Sometimes it could be 30 minutes, other days it may be 10 minutes. It kind of depends on the mood. But I try to establish a routine to my day because I think routines is part of us understanding the behavior around focus. Okay.
Yeah.
So I try to stick to my routine every day to whether I'm on vacation. I just came back 2 weeks from Mexico, but even in Mexico, before I started my day to get out to enjoy the townships and stuff like that, I still stuck with my routine because I just think routine is that habit is such a big part of us being able to build that muscle around focus and
Mhm.
understanding how to focus and staying with that goal and just streamlining our vision to focus on whatever that goal is that you're trying to achieve. And all of your actions and your behavior should go back into whatever that outcome is that you want to achieve.
I agree with you. Habits and those routines, they help us stay present, stay in the
Mm-hmm.
moment, right? It's funny because habits are designed, they automate so that you can perform, be more
Yes.
efficient, right? You think about the habit of driving. Like when you were learning to drive, it was a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Once you learn 3 months later versus the first 3 weeks, right? You were so
Mm-hmm.
so vigilant, paying so much attention. But that habit now moves to the subconscious mind. Sometimes we drive home, we don't even know how we get there.
Yeah, and part of what you explain it becomes innate.
Yeah,
Okay, we don't have to think about it. We don't have to. It just happens. Like you said, you drive it and you're home,
yeah,
and you don't think about, okay, I need to take a left turn here. There's a car in front of me. I need to slow down, put on my blinker to go around. We don't think about those things because those habits they become innate.
yeah.
So, and
It,
that's part of focus is that you want to develop that internal muscle where a lot of the habits or a lot of the traits become innate in terms of what we're doing. But it's something for me, it may not be for others, but for me, it's something that I have to work on every day.
yeah, same here. Because if there's a day that I don't do my morning routine, the energy is not the same. I'm more
Exactly.
chaotic. It seems like everything's coming at me faster than it did the day before.
And and you're so right about it. And that's why I think the routines are so important. Because no two I don't yours may be different, but no 2 days are the same for me. And
Mhm.
some days I move through them easily, and then some days from the time that I wake up, there's something different about that day. It starts out chaotic, okay?
Yeah.
And there's a different kind of energy. But if you use these habits, your routine, I think that that's part of us being able to adapt to whatever is happening, but not necessarily breaking your patterns or your routine, but you can absorb, that different energy around you without having to break, your routines and your habits.
That is well said. No, on a line with what you said to piggyback off that, some days I wake up before I started my morning routine, it felt chaotic. It felt crazy. But after I do my morning routine, after I meditated for about 15 minutes, I feel like a brand new person.
And I think it's so important. I really do. And even we haven't talked about this, but when we talk about stress, sometimes there are good stressors and then there are bad stressors. But I think also our routines, our habits, it helps us to be able to adapt to those stressors or be able to manage those stressors without those stressors being consuming who we are,
Mhm.
because at that point, you're kind of in that reactive mode,
Yeah,
you're kind of being led to whatever's happening to you, but as opposed to you managing what's happening.
you're out of control.
Exactly.
Gotta
Exactly.
get control. Now, I'm very big on affirmations because there is some deep rooted subconscious programming that we get growing up, that we get maybe as kids that are driving the direction of our life and we don't even know it. Okay. It's
Absolutely.
almost like those habits, right? They go on autopilot, they drive us. And so affirmation, I find it is the way to reprogram that. It's to rewire the mind, the brain, like you did with the abundance affirmation for you.
I'm telling you, affirmations work. They really do. I believe that the words that we speak, it creates a certain energy, and that energy becomes reality. And I think we do have a power and authority over our reality, but it's a focus. It comes back to habit. It comes back to routine. It comes back to focus. And I do believe that it does work. And I think it falls into different categories. I think maybe if you're experiencing life is good, you have everything you want, you may not have a strong connection. Whereas someone who may be dealing with some difficult things, and this is the way that they manage and to be able to deal with those difficult situations, they may have a closer connection. But I know for myself, I know it works, and I try not to be one of these people to say, hey, okay, I'm having a really bad day. I haven't talked to you in the last 2 years, but hey, I need your help now. So I try to make it a daily routine to say that I practice my affirmations, I practice my prayer, I practice what my intentions are, because it almost like it 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 helps me to have that wherewithal, I guess you said that armor, if you want to call it that, to say if something happens that I'm able to, if it hits me, I feel it, but that doesn't mean that I have to take it in, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well put. Well put. It can be more resilient. It can just bounce off
Yes.
of you.
Yes, exactly. I love that, like Teflon.
Tell us, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. If you look me up by my name, Renzi Richardson, you can find me there. My website is www.bhflgroup.com. And my email address is renziR@bhflgroup.com. So there's a couple of places how you can connect with me.
That's fantastic. What's the acronym stand for?
And I get that question often. BHFL are 4 women who I was raised by, and they just kind of shape who I am. So B stands for Beatrice, H is for Henrietta, F is for Francine, and L is for Lucille. So those are the 4 aunts that were, I guess you say, that I was surrounded by. And in my opinion, these women were before their time. And they just taught, I'm a product of who they were during their time and all of the lessons that they've taught me over the years. And I just believe that had I not been raised by them and influenced by them, I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
And we honor their presence in you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm so happy I asked, because that's very touching.
Yeah, and it's just part of our heritage that we respect our elders, but the elders have a responsibility to the children to make sure that they bring the word that they used back in the days, that we bring you up, to live by the principles and the values that we live by through their generation.
And become fruitful like you are.
Yes.
And then you use that to multiply like you're about to with all the commerces you're working with.
I'm really excited, and I'm grateful, and I'm just so excited to take what I know and to be able to help women and minority-owned businesses and understand how they contribute to that ecosystem. And at the end of the day, if we're creating jobs that will sustain our communities and create that currency in our communities, I think I've had a positive impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed, you have. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for all the work that you're doing and the lives you're touching. It's been an honor having you on the show. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please comment and tell us what was your favorite part, your favorite habit that you are going to try out for yourself today. Comment below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you at the top of your best morning routine ever. Stay blessed.